Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. I am Edgar. I am the host. Today, we're going to be reviewing Friday Night SmackDown. We're on the road to Elimination Chamber, fellas, and we kicking things off with a bunch of qualifying matches, which is nothing new because I feel like we just got done having qualifying matches for Saturday night's main event, and now we're doing qualifying matches again for the Elimination Chamber, but the only difference is the qualifying matches for the chamber are triple threat matches. So I guess depending on who you ask, that could be better or worse for some of us. We got a US Open Challenge and so much stuff on this 3 hour SmackDown, and we are here to cover it all with Mr. Blood and Tommy. Welcome, fellas.
Hey, thank you. It's funny, actually, you're also forgetting, I guess it doesn't really count as a qualifier, but let's look at what's happened since Seth went out. There was the whole qualifying tournament to be in the match to win the championship that came down to Jay and Punk. Then there was the tournament to see who'd get to face Cena. That I consider that qualifying. Then there's the ones we just had, and then the ones for Chamber right now. But I like it though, because it doesn't really bother me, because that way I feel like every, at least majority of the matches on the show have purpose. They have meaning. There's an urgency. There are stakes involved in whether winning or losing the match happens. So to me, that means wins and losses matter, which for me as a wrestling fan and as a former wrestler and as someone who does this content with you, to me, wins and losses matter because I'm a big stickler for continuity. Especially with character progression, story progression, and just overall not having my intelligence insulted. So I like a good qualifier because I also think it gives some people time to shine who maybe don't always get it. Case in point, spoiler alert, I thought Miz did great tonight, but that wasn't for a qualifier. That was for the open challenge. However, I feel like it's when we have that, more people get chances to shine because they have their star players in the qualifying matches and the people they want to push. So it leaves everywhere else on the show kind of open to the people who might not get enough time to kind of grace us with their presence and show us what they can do or what they've always been capable of. But I think SmackDown was a decent show. I wouldn't call it great or anything. It was okay. It was fine. I feel like a lot of the matches were wrestled a little too safely for my taste. But other than that, I'm just excited for Chamber because it's arguably my favorite pay-per-view, PLE. And I have actually, over the last week at night when I'm laying down in bed, I've been rewatching all the Elimination Chambers on the YouTube channels because all the full matches are up. And fuck, man, I forget just how good some of them are.
See, look, this is the problem with having PLEs 4 weeks apart from each other. Because that's exactly what's happening here. Elimination Chamber is legitimately 4 weeks apart from the last one we just had. That's a big problem. Why are you smushing so many of them together? Makes no sense on that. But there is something that you said, Snug. Well, that you didn't say, that you posted. I believe it was earlier today. When it was involving all the qualifier stuff, and how it's basically at this point just giving them out like you're some kind of Oprah Winfrey. Like, you get a qualifier, you get a qualifier, and you get a qualifier. Everybody gets a qualifier. That is, I mean, yes, it does show that these matches are meant for something, but there's still so many qualifiers on a single card. And you're going to have like 3 of them, at least, like 3 or 4 on a single Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, just to fill up all 12 spots for the Elimination Chamber.
What I think is kind
of... One sec, Mr. Blood. I just got done watching AAA right now, too. And guess what they had on there? Qualifying matches for the Reyes de Reyes tournament or something like that. So it's just all over the place. And you're right, Mr. Blood. I get what you're saying, that it gives it like high stakes. It leads to something, right? But also Tommy brings up another good point. It's because they have so many PLEs back to back that they have to build to, that also to me, in one hand, it's cool, but also on the other hand, it just feels like random matches just being thrown together, triple threat matches with people that we've never seen have encounters before, and it's just like, fuck, like I don't know. It just to me it seems like it's missing something because we're just getting random matches left and right.
I feel like that's where some of the magic happens, though. When the people you never see interact finally interact, and you get to see what their styles look like when they're thrown together. But to be fair as well, I disagree with the PLEs being too close together all the time because it was always normal. Even when they only had the 12 PLEs a year, it was always normal for PLEs or pay-per-views to be 4 weeks apart, one every month. That was always the thing. AEW is the one that only does like 4 or 5 a year. And I think they're stale because it takes months for their stories to build to anything. And when it comes down to it, I think in a month, guys, you'll be begging for a PLE build. And I'll tell you why. Because as soon as Elimination Chamber's over, you have to wait a month and 3 weeks until Mania. And if we remember how it felt last year when there was no PLE in March, it was a long road to WrestleMania because all those stories felt like they were going stale week after week for 8 weeks until we finally got to the show. Remember, they were spinning their wheels on Jey Uso so much. Everybody was bored as fuck of the stuff with the women's title scene between Io and Rhea before we even got to Mania. Like, I think that, if anything, like, I'm glad there's one PLE a month, so stories have something to build to, resonate at, and then maybe peak to something else versus I don't want a bigger gap between PLEs, man, because shit would get stale too quick because they run out of ideals in the main roster very quickly, I'm starting to find out.
Yeah, but then it just makes the PLEs less special. Like if they were to have one, I know this is not going to happen, but every other month it would make them more special, you know. It would build up more anticipation. And sometimes, yeah, we get one PLE a month and then sometimes we get a random Saturday night's main event thrown in there.
I agree.
Or
I
like I
think
think it
that's
was
the
last
problem.
year. I think last year they had like WrestleMania Backlash like 2 weeks after WrestleMania also.
Yeah, and then because I remember it was a very busy time for us because it was like WrestleMania, then it was like Backlash, then like they had a Saturday night's main event like 2 weeks or something after that. Then I think we went to, I want to say, another PLE, and then there was like something in Saudi, came back, and then like another PLE, and then we got to Evolution, and then it was another Saturday night's main event, another PLE, and then a final Saturday night's main event. Like it was a very busy last half of the year last year. I completely understand. I think the problem is the Saturday night's main events. I think we never should have brought those back because if you're not going to do house shows and live events on the way you used to, don't throw in 4 random TV specials a year with 2 separate trips to fucking Saudi and 2 European tours on top of that. Like, I mean, come on. It's like getting jet lagged as a group of wrestling podcasters. Like, it's great for content, like awesome, hey, tons of shit, but it's also extremely exhausting. And I know you know that better than the rest of us, Snug. It's exhausting. You know, like, come on, 5 shows in the span of 3 months or 2 months. That's crazy. But I'm fine with the 1 a month model because that's the way it always was. At least for the last 23 years I've been watching, there's always been 1 a month.
Yeah, but I just wish that at least Chamber was pushed back a little bit, especially with how much build Chamber needs. Because, like I said, you have 6 spots for the men and 6 spots for the women that you need to fill up and have at least 1 interaction between all 6 of them.
How many chamber matches are we getting? 2? 1 for the men, 1 for the women, you said?
1 for the men, 1 for the women. That's 12 different spots.
Yes.
In total to fill up. And 4 weeks just doesn't seem like enough time to fully fill those spots and give us a spot where all of them can actually interact and make me care about it.
Well, the Elimination Chamber is a SmackDown thing, right?
No, it's a cross promotional brand thing. Because Chamber is going to be basically whoever's going for the title that didn't get called for from the winner of the Rumble. So whoever goes for this men's chamber will probably be for the SmackDown title, obviously, the Undisputed. But the women's, I don't know whose this is for. I mean, because we don't know who Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan didn't call her shot, did she? So,
not yet.
You know, so it's like, okay, well, until she calls her shot, we don't even know who the women's chamber is for. Let me ask you this before we move on. When is their chamber?
I think it's in March, no?
Is it February something?
No, I think it's in March.
No, it's
or wait.
Month. The last Saturday of the month for this month is when it is.
Okay, so that's probably going to be like February, what, 26th or something?
28th.
Well, 28th is the last day of the actual
the
month.
28th.
Okay, so the last day of the month. So, yeah, I mean, it's 29 days apart from Rumble. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I would have been fine if they had made it like the first or second week of a weekend of March, because then it'd be like, 5 weeks maybe to Mania. But you got to wonder, they have obviously something cooking for whatever story stuff is going to happen in March to get to the crescendo of April. I just hope they have it spaced out with better pacing on these stories than they did last year. Because the hardest thing to get through last year was the Jay Gunther stuff. Man, that was a slog, wasn't it? So we just got to see what they do, but I don't disagree that the chamber should be maybe 2 weeks into March. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, man, lots of spots to fill, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing a bunch of these triple threat qualifying matches. It's like they're like, man, fuck Edgar and Snug Wrestling. We know how much he hates triple threat matches, so we're just going to give him a shit ton of triple threat matches to watch. But speaking of exhaustion, poor Drew McIntyre, man, he had one hell of a night over in on SmackDown yesterday. Where were they? They were in the Spectrum Center. Oh, they were in North Carolina, I believe. North Carolina was not nice to Drew McIntyre, man. He was getting his ass beat left and right by Cody, later on in the show by Jacob Fatu. The man was just trying to cut a promo as the champion of SmackDown over there, and they were not letting it happen. The first person to attack Drew McIntyre at the opening of the show, Cody Rhodes attacked Drew from behind. Of course, this is a little payback after Drew McIntyre interfered in what was supposed to be a match between Cody and Jacob Fatu. That didn't happen. And also, didn't Drew McIntyre eliminate Cody at the Rumble?
Yeah, he did.
Well?
He claymored him when he was trying to get back in the ring.
Yeah, so Cody was not happy about that. And he rushes Drew. And then Cody grabs the mic and he says the craziest fucking line. Like, Cody Rhodes is pissed off. He wants Drew McIntyre. And he says, look, man, I know they told me that this was going to be a you-know-what measuring contest, but they don't call me Cody Raheem Rhodes for nothing. This is my hometown, and that got a huge pop. But I got to be careful with what I say because I thought this was entertaining. I thought this was funny. But there was a lot of fans that were not happy about these comments, especially because it's February, Black History Month. The fact that Cody is not black and people making jokes about this. People have been taking offense to this, but Mr. Blood, you can probably speak on this a little bit more. What did you think about that comment Cody made and everything else about this opening segment?
Oh, I can speak on it. Why, Snug? Because I'm half black?
Well, I mean, compared to, I don't expect Tommy to say much about it, but you can. Okay. I'm not going to say anything, but you can.
Tommy's whiter than cream cheese in a snowstorm. When it came back to,
I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just being honest.
Let me tell you what happened here, my brethren. But I feel like I'm marching with Malcolm. But when it came down to it, look. I've said this before. I'm not into this feud. I'm not. Because the way it started was stupid. They only pushed them back together because Jacob got injured when he was fighting with Drew in the summer or late summer. And when he went out, they needed someone to fill a slot against Cody. And then they decided, well, I guess we could just have a triple threat feud between them. And I'm like, bro, you're going to carry a feud between Cody and Drew and Jacob from late last year all the way to WrestleMania. And I'm sorry, they have not done a good job, in my opinion, or a good enough job from keeping it from getting stale and boring. Because I watched Drew and Cody already feud in the middle of the end of the summer. And then I'm like, here we are again with the same feud. And then Jacob's back. So now we're throwing that. And then you think, oh, well, this feud could have already blown off by now. Nope. It could have blown off at Rumble. Nope. Could have blown off at fucking, like in the European tour. Nope. And here's the sad part. It is the fucking beginning of February. We have to take this feud to fucking third week of April. Like, oh my God. How am I going to stay involved, into this? Is my biggest thing is I don't know how I'm going to stay invested. At the rate they're going, I feel like they've already gotten as personal as you can fucking get, talking about people's dead dads and people's moms and everything else and wives and shit. Like, now you got Jacob in there in the mix. I'm like, they've already done the personal. One's already attacked the other at his house. One's eliminated one from a match. I don't know how you keep this going another 2.5 months. That's a long time in wrestling storytelling. When it came to the segment, it was fine. Cody jumped him. Okay, cool. I expected that. Cody cut a promo that most of the fans weren't really into and only popped when he mentioned that, hey, I was born here. And then the Cody Raheem Rhodes thing, I thought it was hilarious. If people are going to complain about Cody making a joke about his nickname, fuck him. Cody didn't give himself the nickname, by the way. The internet wrestling community gave Cody the Raheem fucking nickname. So if you're going to bitch about it, don't blame Cody for just hopping on the bandwagon you guys created. He's just capitalizing on something that he knew would pop you when he said it. You made the nickname. You called him Cody Raheem Rhodes. You said he was invited to the cookout. You say he dresses like a Sunday Baptist pastor. That's all you guys. He's also married to the beautiful black queen, Brandy Rhodes. And guess what? If you go black, you don't go back. Well, guess what? Him and his dad are Southern. And there is nothing black women love than a Southern boy, especially when they're Southern women themselves. And Brandy is from the city, but she likes herself a Southern Cody Rhodes, and he likes himself some nice chocolate, some dark chocolate. So when it came down to it, he made a fucking joke, and it popped the crowd huge. They loved it. So if the crowd in attendance isn't going to bitch, why are you? Have some fucking fun. I seem to remember barely anybody batting an eye when Vince McMahon literally looked at John Cena and dropped the fucking N-word at John Cena. So shut the fuck up and just enjoy the show.
Yeah, I thought that was funny as hell. I really did. So here's the thing. I'm not black. Clearly, I am as white as the snow.
Uh-oh, careful.
But where were all of you complaining when there was literally someone who remixed Cody Rhodes' theme a fucking year ago, calling him an icon? Where were y'all at then? Why weren't y'all complaining about that? Almost a year ago to the damn day. So, go fuck yourselves. Shut the hell up. It's literally just a joke that he was pulling. And it ended up being hilarious as all hell. To the point where people are still memeing on this. Putting him in the cultural African hat that they wear over there. And photoshopping him to be black. So, people clearly like the joke.
Yeah, I also saw one where they put him with the Nation of Domination with the Rock in the...
I saw the one where they gave him waves, how black people do the waves with their hair. He's got waves in a fucking chain. Look, all I'm saying is this. If Vince McMahon is allowed to book every Asian character in some of the most fucking stereotypical gimmicks I've ever seen, anybody remember Jimmy Wang Yang? Okay? Yoshi Tatsu? With the most offensive fucking like Tokyo pop entrance I've ever heard in my life. Cody's not allowed to just hop on the wagon of what the IWC created for him. He's not allowed to be in on the joke you guys made. He's willing to be the punchline. So why do you have a fucking problem with it? If you were really complaining about him going, they don't call me Cody Raheem Rhodes for nothing, but The Rock is allowed to sit there and talk about his dick all day and no one bats an eye, and Chris Jericho can call Stephanie McMahon every slur in the fucking dictionary, or Chris Jericho, can call Stephanie McMahon every slur in the dictionary. I don't think it's that offensive from Cody to just say, oh, they don't call me Cody Raheem Rhodes for nothing. Like, he's just saying he's got a big member. Something we've heard The Rock say 1,000 times and y'all ate it up, so shut the fuck up.
The opening match was my favorite match of the whole entire night, which was a women's tag team match, and that's saying a lot because we had a US Open challenge, we had a triple threat match in the main event, but this was my favorite match of the night. The women's champions, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, faced Kiana James and Julia, which I believe was for the women's tag team championships, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they were tasked to set the tone of the show, and they did one hell of a job. Unfortunately, everyone else in the card, I felt like, could not keep up with the tone that these women set in this opening match. It was a great tag team match. The people were into it. It was fun. It was exciting. They had nice spots. They did a wonderful, wonderful hot tag. Rhea's over. Ia's over. And we got to see a matchup that I thought was pretty amazing. We got to see Rhea Ripley and Kiana James go at it in the ring for a few minutes. And I thought that matchup right there, that pairing, I thought it looked great. I thought they looked good as two competitors. Kiana James is in great shape. She has good size. She's athletic. She looked good versus Rhea Ripley. And you also have Io Sky and Julia, which is like the two Japanese women that go way back. I'm sure they got lots of history. So this matchup that they did here, I thought it was really good. And I also like the fact that obviously Rhea and Io won this thing, but it was Julia, who's the current United States champion, who ate the pin and not Kiana James. So I thought that was great, man. I love this.
Yeah, really, really good match. I think this match was mostly there to put shine on Kiana. And it did a great job of that. Kiana did look really, really good out there. When you're working with someone like Rhea Ripley, though, I mean, it's hard to not get the rub from that fucking fury of tatted up goth muscle mommy charisma. Like, Rhea Ripley, and I will fucking unalive on this hill. You can kiss my ass in the fucking comments. Rhea Ripley, top 3, maybe top 4 most over acts in the company. She is that fucking, she might be the most popular in the company behind Roman Reigns. Because Roman's first. I think Rhea's more over than Cody because the fans are semi-flipped on Cody. Half the fans hate Punk. Half the fans love Punk. Seth doesn't come close to Punk, Cody, or Roman. So when you ask me, I think Rhea's the second biggest star in the company. And working with her and having a competitive matchup with her is great for Kiana. I love that Julia got in there and actually got to have a longer match. They really don't give her long matches, and she's a champion. So to get that as the United States champion, then also get to go out there and wrestle for another set of titles, great, good. It shows to me that not only is she a champion, but you believe she has the ability to size up other champions as a champion, that she could be a multi-champion if you wanted her to be. And it's just nice to see her in that conversation because Julia is extremely under fucking rated and she's booked terribly for someone so goddamn talented. The only thing I would have changed, I don't think Julia should have ate the pin. As much I know they're trying to keep Kiana strong, but you cannot have your champions eat pins left and right like that. You have got to protect your champions as much as possible. If you want people to believe that Julia is a credible threat, and believe me, there's nothing wrong with getting pinned by Rhea or Io. There just isn't. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, those are fucking former world champions. If you're going to get pinned by anybody, let it be a world champion. I just don't think the champion should eat the pin. I think it would have been safe for Kiana to eat it had she taken a double finish the way that Julia did. Because Julia ate a riptide, then an over the moonsault. You could have done that to Kiana, and no one would have thought anything less of her from eating 2 finishes from 2 former world champions. That's the only thing I would have changed.
Yeah, I also absolutely would have changed that ending. As much as they are trying to protect Kiana James, at the same time, come on, Julia's your champion. And I know Blood just said that, but still, it's full-blown true. Julia is your United States champion. Why is she getting pinned so much right now in non-title matches and random stuff like that? It's just making her look weaker than what she actually is. If you watch this girl back when she was in NXT, that's even that's their developmental stuff. She just shows off down there in NXT when she was down there. And it seems like the problem here is Julia is kind of being weighed down a little bit, not by Kiana James, because yes, she looks great and all, but Julia could do so much better because down in NXT, she was going non-stop. There was a reason why there was this really, really good feud between Julia and Stephanie Vaquer for, I believe it was the Women's NXT Championship.
I think so. It was a big deal. It was a big, big deal.
And now she doesn't really have many big deal things going on. I love this match. I absolutely feel like the right team won here because there was no possible way they're taking it off of Rio. Yet. They absolutely will at some point, and it will be against a great team. But right now, it is not the time for them to lose those tag titles.
What if this, because Rhea Ripley was the one that pinned Julia, what if Rhea Ripley tries to say, hey, I got a pin over the U.S. Women's Champion, let me get a shot at that?
I don't know because Rhea's on Raw. So I don't know how I feel about, because at some point.
Well, they're on both brands now because the Women's U.S. Champions is on both brands.
The Women's U.S. Champion is not on both
brands.
The
Women's Tag Team Champions.
Oh. Yeah,
on both brands.
But that's specifically relegated to the tag division. At some point, the brand split's gotta fucking mean something. You know what I mean? I am not a fan of the fact that the brand split barely matters as it is, because then why have it? For me, it's just like, look, let the women that are on that brand compete for the title that's on that brand because they're on that brand. They've got to have something that's just for them. We can't just keep running Raw shit all over SmackDown because then it bogs down the SmackDown roster, in my opinion, and they deserve their own shit. I don't appreciate Roman calling Raw the better show, even if it is. I don't appreciate people treating SmackDown like the B show, even if it is, because to me, when you say that, you are doing a disservice and taking.
Well, let's save that for the Drew thing because that goes into what Drew McIntyre says later on.
Point is, I just don't want to see her in the U.S. division. If she wants to do something like that, she can go for the women's mid-card title on Raw. IC champs right there.
All right, the U.S. Open Challenge continued. Carmelo Hayes defended versus The Miz. And we haven't seen The Miz wrestle a whole lot lately, right? And they had a pretty lengthy match, competitive match. Obviously, I mean, it's The Miz, you know. Carmelo Hayes won this match. He looked good here. It wasn't the most exciting match ever. I mean, it is The Miz. The Miz is not gonna go fucking flying off the top ropes and doing all these crazy things with Carmelo Hayes like most of these other guys, right? I just felt like it was like a complete clash difference between these two guys, you know? Just two complete opposites. They made it work, but it was just the match to me. I didn't really think too much of it, to be honest.
I actually enjoyed the hell out of it. I'll tell you why. The Miz to me is one of the most underrated acts in the company and always has been. He always will be extremely underappreciated and extremely underrated because in the ring, and I know so many other people have said this that have been in the ring with him, but as a wrestler myself, there are things that when you're trained, you just have an eye for, things that you notice that the fans don't see, the audiences don't see, unless you've been trained to be a pro wrestler. There are things that you notice immediately because you've been trained, because you've been in the ring with workers, really good workers, solid workers, bad workers, everything in between. You've been a bad worker or a solid worker or everything in between. And the Miz, the things he does in there, he is so much fucking better than he will ever get the proper credit for. This match was great. It was great. Miz made Carmelo look like $1 million, even though Carmelo doesn't need it. Miz still went out of his way to constantly give Carmelo great shit, great sells, great offense. It reminded me of the feud that Miz had with Dolph Ziggler over the IC Championship a little over 10 years ago. And what was one of my favorite feuds the Miz ever had with the IC Championship. That's back when Miz was goated IC heel with fucking J&J or whoever the fuck was the security.
I saw that match in person at No Mercy.
That No Mercy match is my favorite match the Miz ever had with ever. And it's also one of my favorite PLE songs they've ever done because the song No Mercy by the band Kit is on my gym playlist. And it's from that pay-per-view. I listen to it every day. And I think of that match every single day. And Miz did shit in this match that he did with Dolph Ziggler back then that he hasn't done in a long time. The springboard sit-out powerbomb where he bounced them off the top rope, turns around and sit out. Great shit. I thought the offense was great. Reversals were great. Miz sold great. I love this match. It was my actual favorite match tonight because it reminded me of my favorite match he's ever been in. And that was a plus for me. So I think this was a win. And at the stage in his career that Miz is at, he is such a great utility player that anybody who's in the ring with him, in my opinion, benefits from being in the ring with him. So many people have said you don't appreciate just how good the Miz is until you're in the ring across from him and you feel how he works. And you go, oh shit, this guy is fucking perfect. And he really fucking is. You can call him soft all you fucking want. Fuck you. Pay attention to the nuances in the way he wrestles, the way he moves, the time he takes, his selling ability, how he feeds to his opponents. Pay real close attention. It will give you a much bigger appreciation for him, people. I'm telling you. He is goated. And he will never get that fucking appreciation.
Completely agree. Good old Miz is just Miz. He's that damn good. It's just how he is. People don't understand how good the Miz actually is. Don't believe me? Look back at the early stuff with him. He's so good. And he definitely made a Carmelo Hayes. Although, as in which has already been said, Carmelo didn't really need it, like, at all. He's already a star in his own right. But he also could benefit it because of how good The Miz actually is. It's just that big for him. These two have not really been in the ring fully like this ever since they tagged together. That was the big thing that people are just like, Miz is dragging this man down, put them against each other, break it up. So that worked perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, when we first started this episode, Bud, you mentioned that some of the matches were wrestled a little bit too safe for your liking, and I thought you were talking about this match because there were some spots that they did that was just like way too soft, I guess you can say. Like he wasn't even you can clearly see that the Miz wasn't even hitting him and just little stuff like that.
I think that's
And
also
that shit
Miz being
takes me out of the
smart.
match, you know.
I think that's Miz also being a smart veteran, knowing that the most important thing about this match is putting Carmelo over. But you also, as a veteran, especially the Miz's status, where he doesn't need any more money, he doesn't need any more titles. He's the Miz. Okay, Grand Slam champion, future first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to protect Carmelo as much as possible because he understands how important Carmelo is to the future of the business. So if certain stuff looks a little softer, a little safer, it's because the Miz is genuinely trying to make sure nothing derails Carmelo's momentum. Your first and most important job as a wrestler is what? Protect your dance partner. Period, point blank. There's nothing more important you can do in the ring than that. And if I was ever to wrestle again, someone like The Miz would be a godsend for me getting back in because I wouldn't want to get hurt. I would want to be safe. I don't want my momentum killed. I don't want to get injured. I don't want to lose my championship and vacate it just after getting called up a year and a half later. I want to have a solid chance here. The Miz, probably good friends with Carmelo behind the scenes, is going to protect him, keep him safe, protect his body, make sure he doesn't get hurt and have to drop anything. And I think that's probably why The Miz is a great opponent for someone like that. You don't got to risk the high octane shit. We thought for a couple of weeks Carmelo was injured. We thought his knee was fucked up. You know, people buy into that stuff. You know, what if it was true if he was injured? You would want someone like The Miz to take care of him in the ring.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, we all get that. But it just looks like shit sometimes. And it's just like what are we doing?
I think it's also the camera angles too. It's not just on the opponents. Remember, a lot of wrestling is sleight of hand. And a lot of that is, especially if it's televised wrestling, is really up to production. You guys they have to frame hard cam, right? They got to frame cameras A through whatever correctly and make sure that they are not honing in on the sides of these guys to see where the impact doesn't happen. You have to sleight of hand it. You have to. It's a big part of the show.
Yeah, and then going into this match, I was actually excited for it. I was looking forward to it because, you know, earlier I was complaining about how it just feels like we're having random matches, but at least these two guys, you know, they have been having their issues as of late. They were tag team partners, and then they got mad at each other, and then, you know, they cost each other match. So there's something here. They got something here. And then the match starts and it just felt heatless. It just felt like whatever. It didn't even feel like these guys are actually mad or feuding with each other. It was more what Mr. Blood said. Oh, these two guys that respect each other and don't want to hurt each other. That's not the type of match that I
I mean, I
enjoy.
think it's also large in part to we thought the Miz had moved on from Carmelo. Who the fuck was he jumping for like the last 3 weeks over and over again? He just kept hitting people from behind. Who the fuck was that? He just kept attacking at random. It wasn't
Pretty
Carmelo.
sure it was Mello.
I thought it was someone else who kept jumping from behind over and over again. And then the
Well,
problem
he
is as
jumped
well.
Ilya. He jumped Ilya to fuck with Carmelo.
It wasn't like Ilya. I thought he jumped Dame or tried to attack Damien or something. The point is that their tag team ended like 3 months ago. So it feels heatless because there was such a long period in between their interactions. And then you've got to throw on top of that, the crowd really wasn't a great crowd either. I'm going to be real with you. Like, Philly sucked earlier this week. North Carolina kind of sucked too. So a lot of that heat goes out the window when the crowd's barely into it. And probably because they were freezing their fucking asses off. You know, it's winter. You know?
I mean, they were into the opening women's tag team match a whole lot.
You find me one motherfucker who is not into Rhea Ripley.
Me.
But you're not into her story, but you enjoy her as a performer.
She's good, yeah.
I have never met a single person that goes, I hate Rhea Ripley. Never even seen a comment that says it. You know what I mean? So when you see Io and Ripley and their special guesting from big stars on Raw to SmackDown, and it's a title match, of course your energy's up.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting to have my energy up for this match between The Miz and Carmelo, but I didn't, unfortunately. All right, let's go on to the next match. It was a qualifying match, Elimination Chamber, but for the women, and it was a triple threat match between Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, and I believe it was Lash Legend, the third competitor of this match. And the big question was, is it time? Are they going to give Chelsea Green her moment and give her a spot in the Elimination Chamber and shut all the haters up and give us some hope? And they didn't. Tiffany Stratton won this one, even though the people were pulling for Chelsea Green, man. They were cheering her on. They wanted to see Chelsea Green pull this off, but she got so close. But Tiffany Stratton ended up getting her hand raised in this one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Here's the thing. The audience in attendance is your barometer, right, WWE? Because you say you don't listen to the internet because the IWC is toxic and they change their mind too much and they never know what they want. So you only listen to people in attendance. Well, the people in attendance have been telling you for fucking weeks they want you to push Chelsea because all the fans who watched Unreal Season 2 were fucking pissed off and ready to form an angry mob against Michael Hayes. Now, I love Michael Hayes, but motherfucker, the moment he said, Chelsea Green is never going to be in the spot that, a Becky Lynch or a Charlotte Flair is for, that's not what she's there for. She's never going to reach that level. She's the person that helps them look good and gets them there. So she's a utility player, Michael? Yeah, well, fuck that. Because even though Chelsea Green took that on the chin in that same exact episode, and I respect Chelsea to death for this, and she said, if that's my role, I'm happy. That role has allowed me to build the house of my dreams. It's allowed me to live my life and travel and spend it doing the thing I love. So I commend her. So I let that shit go, Michael Hayes, because Chelsea's got a great fucking attitude about it. But listen to me. The fans want Chelsea. Last year we wanted Tiffany. Well, y'all did. I didn't. But the fans wanted Tiffany a year ago. Tiffy had her time, and it was a fucking 9-month failure. So when it comes down to it, Chelsea Green deserves at least one fucking shot. I'm not saying you got to put the world title on her. I'm saying, or you got to put the WWE Championship on her. I'm saying give her an opportunity to be in that position to where the fans can show you they are in full support of her because she can wrestle. She's fun on the mic. She's entertaining as all hell. And it was a damn shame y'all put Tiffany over her when Tiffany ain't been here in a hot cup of coffee. Okay? But Chelsea's been on this show week in and week out, no stop, entertaining the masses, even with a shattered fucking nose. Okay? I don't understand what it's going to take for y'all to realize the fans, if we are in fact who you listen to us when we say you didn't listen to us when we wanted LA. You didn't listen to us when we said we wanted fucking Ilya the first time. You didn't listen to us when we said we were getting tired and sick and tired of Roman. We were tired of Gunther and we were tired of Cody. And you kept pushing the people we said we didn't want. Well, now we're telling you again, stop treating her like R-Truth and fucking push her. Chelsea has earned it. She didn't deserve it. She fucking earned it. Give her her chance in the sun. Once.
Yeah, you don't have to put the title on her, but you want to know what I would not mind? Her in a title match for a world title. I would not mind watching that. But we'll get to that world title here in a second. Because, about damn time. But still, I would much rather Chelsea Green go over than Tiffany Stratton, who hasn't even been here in 3 goddamn months. 3. I looked it up. 3 months. Her ass has not been here. whatsoever. She hasn't been here since she lost that title. So Chelsea Green needs to go over. Tiffany Stratton needs to go right back down where she belongs. Because, no.
Do you know how much fun Chelsea Green would be in an Elimination Chamber match? Do you know how much fun how entertaining she would be to watch? How can you not want to put her in that match? There's always at least one comedy person or mid-card they always put in a chamber match. We know that. Why would you not this is like tailor-made for her. Like, y'all remember the TLC shit where she like just threw the table like this, fell all the way back and went through 2 tables? And the crowd popped for her. You don't want to see her get thrown off a pod, put through something in the funniest fucking manner, make it to the final 3 or something, and just let the fans believe she can win. She doesn't have to. But think about what your audience wants. They want to be entertained by this woman. Let them be entertained by her in the biggest ways possible. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I thought for sure that Chelsea Green was going to win this one after all that stuff that came out of that Unreal documentary, which, that Unreal documentary, it gives a lot of fans more insight, a different perspective, and it kind of puts over the wrestlers. It does affect the TV shows in a lot of ways. Like, we see stuff that we don't see on on Raw or on SmackDown. We see it on Unreal. And I thought for sure that they would come to their senses and be like, okay, yeah, we're going to push Chelsea now because of the reaction that this Unreal documentary has been getting. But nope, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And it's also like, well, then fuck, why are you telling us these things on the Unreal documentary then? Like,
that's what I'm saying. It feels like they were trolling us. Like, because WWE likes to do stuff that feels like they're testing the waters ahead of time to see how people would react. I was looking at the Unreal documentary, in my opinion, almost like the way you would a house show, where you go to experiment to see what the fans really think. Like, remember, like, people hated Charlotte last year until season 1 came out, and it humanized her so much with the audience. The moment she was with Alexa, they fell in love with her because they saw, oh my God, this is a woman who recently had her heart shattered. She went through a divorce, but she loves this in her bones. People forget she's only wrestling because it was her brother's dream, and he died. And she did this so she could live his dream for him. She was crying when she returned backstage because she didn't know if the fans would care. And she just wanted us to care. That's so sweet. How can you hate her when she's so human right in front of you? And the same thing with Chelsea. We saw how much this means to her. How can you tell us and show us ad nauseum that Chelsea even cried backstage because she thought she messed up? And the fans just loved her more for it, and you won't push her. So why fucking show us?
all right. My boy Kit Wilson showed up, calling out all the all the toxic masculinity on SmackDown and all the brutes that were beating each other up at the Royal Rumble that smelled bad and they were all sweaty and just a bunch of, clowns beating up on each other. And Kit Wilson was ready to show them a piece of his mind, and he called out anybody from that Rumble. And of course, it just had to be the worst possible option out of all of them. Obafemi showed up on SmackDown, and I don't think we actually know which brand Obafemi is going to join because he's just showing up on SmackDown, on Raw. Obafemi beat the crap out of poor Kit Wilson, man. My boy, the future of the company, Kit Wilson. Obafemi won this one, 1, 2, 3. It was cool to see Obafemi again on Raw. He beat up the Viking Raiders, and last night he beat up on Kit Wilson.
They call him the ruler because he's the measuring stick for the future. When it came down to it, that's a little math joke for you guys. But when it came down to it, I'm sorry. This didn't work for me. As entertaining as Kit Wilson is, he's just a theme song. Like I said, his theme is over, not him. He is a loved jobber at this point. But it didn't work for me because I don't think it did a goddamn thing for Obafemi. On Monday Night Raw, at least he was impressive because he ran through two very enormous gentlemen with fucking ease, like hot knife through fucking melted butter. Okay? It was just cakewalk on Monday, and it was a 2-on-1 scenario, and he cleaned house. This doesn't do anything for Oba because I expect him to beat the piss out of the jobber. I expect him to struggle a little in a 2-on-1 scenario, and he didn't. But I expect him to run through Kit Wilson like Taco Bell through a fat guy on a Friday night at 2 a.m. Oba destroying him doesn't do shit for Oba because no one in their right mind would ever believe Kit Wilson poses a challenge, a threat, or even a fucking just inconvenience to Oba. So I don't think this was successful. I think it was a quick, entertaining filler thing that didn't even need to be on the show. If anything, you want to ask me what really would have happened, as much as I loved the match, you could have put Oba as a surprise U.S. Open title match against Carmelo Hayes and really gave Carmelo Hayes a fucking fight. That would have been impressive. That's a great way to have him pop up and surprise SmackDown. We know he's going to be there. We just don't know how. U.S. Open title match, you say? Great. You don't got to let him win and take it off Carmelo. You can have it be interrupted or interfered by somebody. That's fine. But I don't think this did anything for him.
It really didn't, other than the fact that I saw clips of this. And as soon as Oba came out, our buddy Alan Owens legitimately was watching that clip and said, Kit Wilson, run, Kit, run the fuck away, run. So that is something that I watched myself. I'm like, I could not agree more. Kit Wilson, run the fuck away. This is Ultimate Goddamn Femi we're talking about. Run away. But this match in itself, I expected this to be a squash match, and boy, was it.
Yeah, other than just showcasing Obafemi again and bringing up that question, which brand is he going to go to? Yeah, it made he beat the crap out of Kit Wilson, but I also felt bad for Kit Wilson, not because he got squashed, but I felt like his promo went a little bit too long and he lost the crowd at some point during that promo, which sucks because they were doing such a good job of getting him over, getting the crowd behind him, even if it was just with the song. His little shtick of, toxic masculinity in his dance was entertaining, but last night it was just there was a awkward silence there for a moment where the fans were just like, okay, let's get on with this now. Let's keep it moving,
Again, his theme song is over, not him. The problem here is that with Kit Wilson, they let that promo go on too long. You're right. But then it showed his weakness. He can't talk. Because what happened? He repeated himself 2 or 3 times. And the moment you start repeating yourself in a promo, that tells me you can't cut a promo. So, because you lose track and you say the same things over and over and over again, that means you either forgot the rest of it, you lost your place, or you were never supposed to be talking this long to begin with, and they took too long to cue Oba. And you just had to keep spinning your wheels so you weren't standing out there in the middle of the ring staring down the stage awkwardly. And I think that might be what happened here, but it's the same issue I have with Trick Williams. I think Trick can cut a decent promo, but he repeats himself way too fucking much. And obviously he's a newer guy. He's still learning his craft, but it's a weakness that I've spotted in him too. How many times are you going to tell me how great you are in the same 3 ways? How many times are you going to mention your lemon pepper steppers 4 times in a promo? I get it. You've got shtick and you have a motto. Tell me something I care about.
All right, round 2 with Drew McIntyre trying to get his promo off his chest and say what he came here to say. But this time he got attacked by Jacob Fatu. I mean, what else were you expecting, Drew? You literally attacked both of these guys at their match at Saturday Night's Main Event, and they're not happy with you, Drew. So Jacob Fatu showed up, beat up on Drew McIntyre, and we got no promo from Drew McIntyre once again.
What doesn't make sense to me, another reason I just don't like this program is like Drew already said he doesn't want anything to do with them. He said that like 2 weeks ago. I don't want anything to do with Jacob. I don't want anything to do with Cody. I'm done with them. Yada, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. If that's the case, Drew, don't fire the first shot because you Claymore kicked Cody out of the Rumble. Then you're surprised you get attacked. You're surprised because Jacob still believes you're the one who took him out. And you keep hitting him too, and then you're surprised he keeps coming back for more. If you really wanted nothing to do with him, you'd stay away from them. So to me, I'm just like, it's long in the tooth for me. You can't tell me you want to move on to different shit and then keep jumping people from behind and then think that they're just going to be like, well, I guess you win the war. You know, you win the war. You humiliated, embarrassed, and beat the shit out of me, and I'm just going to let it go and turn the other cheek, even though we're in a sport about fighting. No. So this was for me. It really was.
So here's my thing. Drew, not only did you attack both of these men, even though there was no way that match was actually going to happen anyways, but the point still stands. You still decided to attack both of these men right before a match was supposed to happen during a brawl between these two. That's strike one there. You also decided to Claymore good old Cody Rhodes right out of the Rumble. Why are you trying to say, oh, I'm done with these two, they're behind me, but I'm still going to attack the fuck out of them? Like, stop it. The problem is you're pulling the trigger on both of these men. You're fucked, dude. The problem is you are now in a triple threat situation in which odds are that is exactly what this is going to end up being, a triple threat for that WWE title. And I know, Snug, you hate that because of the fact that it's a triple threat. But that is the only way to put this stupid-ass feud down once and for all at this point, is just put them all in a triple threat.
I genuinely hope that triple threat comes to the Elimination Chamber because I don't want to see this story continue to Mania. I really don't.
Yeah, well, we never see that. We never see triple threat matches, right? Oh, wait. We're going to see one tonight again. But that's not until the main event. Before that, we actually saw a singles match that was actually really good from someone that we don't really see wrestle a whole lot in singles competition. Tama Tonga faced Shinsuke Nakamura. And this was one hell of a match. These guys got history. You know, they go way back in Japan, and they addressed this a few weeks ago. They've been having a few encounters here and there. And you can tell right off the bat, these two guys have chemistry. They know each other really, really well. And unlike Carmelo Hayes versus The Miz, this match with Tama Tonga and Shinsuke was hard hitting. And it was exciting. And I could tell these guys were trying to compete with one another and beat each other up. And the other guy was, you know, they're trying to one up each other. This didn't feel like a cooperative fucking dancey dance. It felt like a match. It felt like a competition. It felt like a fight. And I love this. Tama Tonga won. He defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. And I hope that we get to see more of Tama Tonga in singles competition.
Ooh, Tama Tonga, the most talented member of the MFTs, as far as in-ring is concerned. Because, yes, he is better than Solo. And it'd be generous to say that Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are good at all. And it would have been JC Mateo, aka Jeff Cobb, if they had let him still be Jeff Cobb. But when it came down to it, this match was good back and forth. Yeah, they got history from Japan, obviously. What were they called? The Gorillas of Destiny back in the day were in Japan for a long time, and that was obviously Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. I don't know how much history they have because I'm not that well versed in their history in Japan, him and Nakamura. But then again, I always expect Nakamura, even when he's phoning in a performance, he's still great. And here he wasn't phoning in. He was just having fun with probably someone that's probably a good buddy of his at this point backstage from all their history together. It was decent. Tama won. That's great. MFTs get a win. Fantastic. Thank God it had nothing to do with the Wyatt Six, and that's full marks for me.
I honestly thought the Wyatt Six were going to come out, especially knowing the fact that right before this is when we got a Wyatt Six promo from Bo Dallas about the lantern and involving Solo and him taking it and saying, hey, you took our lantern because you are afraid of the dark and what holds behind it. So there's that. But I will also remind you that the biggest thing when it comes to these guys having slight things in the back, this goes all the way back to when Shinsuke Nakamura was United States champion. That is how long this goes back. All the way back then, before they put it right back on LA Knight and before these open challenges started back up. So, in my opinion, it is about damn time that he got a fucking match with Tama Tonga. It's about time.
All right, Tommy, it's just me and you now. Mr. Blood had to step away, but we're going to close up the rest of the segments and matches of Friday Night SmackDown because we had Liv Morgan showing up on SmackDown. And at first I was a little bit thrown off by this. I was like, what the hell? What's she doing on SmackDown? She's from Raw, but I completely forgot that she had won the Royal Rumble. And she has yet to make her decision as to what championship she's going to go for. So, she showed up on SmackDown. She was introduced by Nick Aldis, the Royal Rumble winner. And Liv Morgan is cutting a promo and brings up the elephant in the room, how she eliminated Raquel Rodriguez. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll get a little bit more information on that. But right when Raquel was about to speak on it, Jade Cargill's music hit. The champion over from SmackDown shows up. And we get a face-off between Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill. But not only that, we got a face-off with Raquel Rodriguez and Jade Cargill as well, which I thought was really interesting. I like that pair right there. I like that matchup. But yeah, this whole thing led to a tag team match, an unexpected tag team match between Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I believe it was Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace won this match because there was miscommunications on both teams. Obviously, Jordynne Grace and Jade Cargill do not get along. And with the shit that's been happening with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez as of late, they had miscommunication. So this match was fun for me. It was entertaining. There was some unexpected shit. There was drama. The action was decent. I thought this match was pretty fucking good, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, it was good. But you want to know what the best part about this was? The announcement that we got after the match. 3 months of not defending that fucking title, and she's finally defending it next week against Jordynne Grace. It is about damn time that she ends up defending this shit. Not one in 3 months since she took that title off of Tiffany Stratton. Not one. And now she's finally defending it against Jordynne Grace. God, I hope that she loses that title on her first defense. Because 3 months in, and I'm already getting sick of Jade Cargill as champion. It needs to stop. This experiment is over. It's clearly a failed experiment on Jade Cargill. Put it on someone we actually care about, like Jordynne Grace. But the tag match itself, Jordynne Grace did end up giving the pin. I believe it was to Liv Morgan. So that was good, which makes me think that maybe Jordynne Grace is getting it next week, and that might be the match that we're getting at Mania, in which I would not mind that being a match that we get at WrestleMania. Liv Morgan against Jordynne Grace for that title? I wouldn't mind that at all.
That would be crazy, man. If Jordynne Grace loses, I mean, if Jade Cargill loses to Jordynne Grace next week, holy shit, man, that'd be insane. But I don't think so, Tommy. I don't think that's gonna happen. But we'll see. All right, we finally heard from Drew McIntyre. Third round, third time is a charm. Drew McIntyre has been getting his ass beat up and down this whole entire show. And he finally cuts his promo, and it was worth the wait because I was curious to see what he was going to say. And he basically addressed the comments that CM Punk and Roman Reigns made over on Monday Night Raw, pretty much making Drew McIntyre sound like the secondary champion, like he's on the second brand, like SmackDown was like the B show. And I thought, good on Drew McIntyre for speaking up about this. And it's like, whoa, let me remind you what this title is, you know? Just because Roman Reigns is over on Raw doesn't mean that that World Heavyweight Championship is the number one championship. Because remember, when that first title came out, everyone was like, oh, this is just the consolation belt. Oh, this is just the, secondary championship or blah, 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 So I thought that was really fucking good. Welcome back, Blood. And it just got me thinking, like, it's crazy how we went from saying that about the World Heavyweight Champion to now a lot of people believe that the World Heavyweight Champion is the number one championship belt. But how do you guys feel about this? Now that Drew McIntyre is the undisputed champion on SmackDown, do you guys see that belt as being the secondary belt now?
Look, as much as I love Drew, and I'm glad the title went to him, I'm just not happy the way that it did. I didn't like the booking around him winning it. I thought it was a very lackluster, very sloppy way to do it. Didn't make sense story-wise. Didn't make sense. Continuity-wise, just straight up was like, why is my babyface getting beat up by another babyface? I thought it was dumb. Man, how do I say this without sounding so rude? Drew is world champ material. He fucking is. Drew is world champ material. Hands down, he is. But star power is a massive part of what makes that belt important. And I'm sorry, but if we're talking presentation, impact, star power, staying power, big fight feel, energy power, Drew doesn't even come close to the way that CM Punk does as a champion. I am sorry. CM Punk, household name, so is Drew. But if you're telling me that you think Drew McIntyre is a bigger draw than Punk, you're lying to yourself. Punk is one of the biggest draws in pro wrestling in modern day, period. There are very few people that are bigger draws than Punk. Very fucking few. Okay? One of them, Roman Reigns. Another one, maybe Cody. Maybe. But the fans are turning on him. But when it comes down to it, you're talking about the two biggest draws in WWE today. It goes Roman and then Punk. And that's easy top two. Then Cody. Then you've got your other stars and everything else. You know what I mean? I love Drew. But the moment he won that title, I automatically felt like it became the secondary championship.
I feel like it always was. Well, at least after Roman Reigns lost it. Well, rephrase. When Cody won it the first time, that was great. That was fine. That Mania, when Cody lost it to Cena. I get it. That was them going, hey, never seen 17. That's the whole goal here. But it felt like that was literally the only reason why they were doing it, is just to break Ric Flair's record. And that was it. I feel like after that is when this just started dropping right after that. And as soon as that happened, that's when the world title for me became bigger than the Undisputed. Because all of the work that Seth had put into that sucker and everything else, and it just climbed and climbed and climbed. As soon as Roman Reigns won the Rumble, I only had one thought in my mind, and that is, he's not going after Drew. He has to go after Punk. Plain and simple. I get it. Drew wants to go out and say, hey, I'm not a secondary champion. At this point, when it comes to going up against Roman Reigns, yes, you are.
Let me put it this way. The title is not supposed to make the man. The man is supposed to make the title. Okay? Let's put it this way. When the World Heavyweight Championship got reintroduced, it automatically felt like a secondary title because of who was holding the undisputed title, which was Roman. When it went to Damian, who was holding it then? Cody Rhodes. He won it the same night Damian did. Okay? Because of Cody's star power and universal beloved acclaim 2 years ago, it made Damian feel like a secondary champion because of how big a star Cody actually was. Now Drew is in that same position that Damian was in. Big star, but not as big as the other guy holding the other world championship. And that's the problem. It's not about the title making the man makes the title. I'm sorry, but when it comes to Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and fucking CM Punk, there's not a man on the roster across any brand that can compete with the star power those three guys have, even without the title. Without the title, they don't even need a championship, and they are still as big a star as they were when they held it. That tells you something. The moment Drew was out of the world title picture, they moved his ass to SmackDown in the mid-card. That tells you something. But Cody, Punk, and Roman stayed in the main event.
Speaking of the main events, this promo by Drew McIntyre led to the qualifying match, the triple threat match between Randy, Solo, and Aleister Black. Random, right? Well, that's what it felt like to me. And it was another triple threat match, the second one of the night. And honestly, I know it's Randy, right? Big fucking star on SmackDown. And we have Aleister Black, who, I'm happy that he's in that position, and I like Solo, but it's just like, it's just a qualifying match. I think the part that I liked the most about this whole thing was the fact that Trick Williams is out there getting some FaceTime with Drew McIntyre before the match, getting himself over. Trick Williams has had encounters with Randy, with Sammy, well, now Drew McIntyre, and he did his lemon pepper steppers line that the crowd actually popped for. But yeah, man, Randy Orton won this thing. I think that was kind of predictable. I mean, you can't have Randy lose to Aleister Black in Solo right now, I don't think. So yeah, I mean, the right guy won this match.
Yeah, it was kind of a foregone conclusion, wasn't it? If this was Solo peak bloodline, then yeah, I think Randy was in for trouble. But it's shuck and jive Solo now. So I don't see him being much of a threat to Randy without his boys out there. And when it came down to it, Alistair was just in a bullshit, nothing, never-ending mid-card void fucking filler feud with Damian for half a year. They weren't just going to be like, well, that was a roaring success. And now after the spoils and toils of half a year's worth of painstaking booking, we're going to put you in Elimination Chamber so you can be a number one contender or qualified contender for the world title, even though you haven't even been back a year. Yeah, it was Randy. Of course it was fucking Randy. Like, Randy has been on a tear about getting number 15. That's been his whole thing for like 2.5, 3 months. He has made it clear. He would do anything just 2 weeks ago, made it clear. Cody, I love you. You're my brother. You know how I feel about you. But tomorrow there are no friends. There are no brothers. I will not hesitate to put you down and drag your carcass over that top rope. Because he wants 15 that bad. He looked Cody in the eyes and said that shit. You think he was losing this? Hell no. They've got to make that chamber feel as credible as possible with who could win it. You got to throw Randy in there. It's fucking Randy. Match was fine, I guess. It wasn't some 5-star classic. I'd barely give it a 3-star if I'm being honest. Biggest pop was the RKO. You know what I'm saying? As always, what do you expect? It was what it was. It was a very safe way to end the night. Because obviously, no one in their right mind went in there and thought, Solo's got this. Aleister Black's coming out on top. No.
Well, it's funny you say that, Blood, because when this match was announced, I was back and forth between Randy and Solo. I knew for a fact that it wasn't going to be Aleister Black because fuck that. No, he's not fully ready yet. He just came back, all of that. It ain't happening. But I will remind you that when it comes to number 15, Randy has been going back further than that. Backlash last year in St. Louis. Once again, right before that, I need number 15. Literally right before he went up against Cena, that is exactly what he kept saying, was number 15. And that was the biggest thing for him, even when going up against Cena for that title. So, triple threat, it was a triple threat. It was a no DQ match. It's just a thing that we've totally never seen before, huh? But still, it was, as you said, basically a foregone conclusion that it had to be Randy.
What's just crazy to me is triple threat, no DQ. If this is me, if I'm Solo, I'm like every member of my fucking family that's on this show or friends.
That's what I was about to say. Where the fuck were they?
We're going to beat the shit out of you. It's no DQ. Whoa, what? Is Trick Williams a heel going to save Randy? And what? The heel fucking Aleister Black gonna team up with Randy? Bro, it's still like what? How many people are in the MFTs? 5? 5 people? Tonga, Tama, Tala, JC Mateo, it's 5-on-2. You think Trick Williams is going to mess up his lemon pepper steppers to help your ass out? No. If I'm Solo, I'm dog walking the shit out of both of y'all.
Earlier in the show, there was a Wyatt 6 vignette where Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, was like, we'll see what you do when the lights go out and you're alone. And it was just like, okay. And then when Solo was walking into the main event, he was looking for his family and they were nowhere to be found. And he was like, they better be out there when I get out there. And they never fucking show up. And it's just like, they didn't explain it or anything. They were just gone, like out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck?
But even then, that's so stupid because when I think of it logically, the Wyatt 6 only has 4 men in it and 1 girl. And Tala Tonga, they let beat the shit out of Eric Rowan. So I'm supposed to believe that they're going to just easily cakewalk those extra MFT guys. Like Like, I'm sorry, Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis against massive JC Mateo and Tala Tonga. I'm sorry. I just don't see y'all taking them out on your. What did Nikki Cross do? Just jump on someone's back and start clawing their eyes out? Like, come on. You know, it's like, how could they not be out there? How could it not spill into the action is what I want to know. We're just supposed to remember that one thing Bo Dallas said an hour and a half ago and then remember it that they didn't come out to the ring when the match started. Like, and then we just do nothing with it. And we're probably going to, and next week, so will be on SmackDown. They're going to show the intro to the show, and he's going to pull up with them, and they're going to be with him standing there. You know, like, come on.
Yeah, well, that's how we ended things with SmackDown, and that's how we're going to end things here with the Snug Wrestling Crew. That was a SmackDown review. If you're new, thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you don't catch the shows live, you can listen to them there and leave a star rating and a review.
All right, guys. Thanks for kicking it with us as always. That was this episode of Friday Night SmackDown's review here on Snug Wrestling. If you love kicking it with us, you can hang out with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after Raw, NXT, and SmackDown go off the air respectively for live post-show reviews. Go live on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. You can join us every Thursday on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the head of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, do our one-on-one random and relevant wrestling topics for 1 hour, where we also answer your fan questions live. And for bonus content, if you like reaction content, you can check out all of our socials across all social media platforms for live reaction content, segment to segment, posted as the shows are on air. And finally, to support the podcast, head on over to our tpublic.com/Snug Wrestling, where you can pick up your Snug Wrestling merch. We have over 100 designs created by us for merch on hats, shirts, pants, totes, magnets, pins, your mother's ass, tapestries, wall art, your sister's ass, and everything in between your mother's ass. And that is it, guys. So until next time, that was one time for the one time. I said that was
4 letters.
4 letters.
1 word.
Word.
Yeet.
Yeet.